Hi, I'm Sue Bockelman, the owner of the Plant Pro in Post Falls, Idaho. I have a degree in landscape horticulture from Colorado State University, and I've been playing in the dirt, working in the horticulture field for over 40 years. I'm used to our strange weather and bad soil, and I hope this will help you overcome some of the issues in dealing with those things so that you can grow happier and healthier plants. I wanted to share with you some things on how to plant so that you'll have a little more success in growing things in your own yard. We're going to start with how to plant up a pot. In that, I'm also going to show you a little tidbit of how to plant seeds and also bulbs. So if we're in this pot, and you've got some seeds. I got my big ones so that I could show you what to do with a big one. But you want to be careful with seeds to not bury them too deeply. So you just want to make a little hole, whether it be outside in your garden or you're starting it from in the house. Just put it in so it's about twice the diameter of the seed, covered with soil. Cover it lightly, keep it moist. The real trick with planting seeds is the day that that individual seed wants to germinate, if it gets dry, it's dead. So if you're going to commit to growing flowers or vegetables from seed, you need to be committed to watering. That might be once a day, twice, even 3 times a day to keep that seed moist until it germinates. And germination, depending on your crop, can take anywhere from 5 days to a month. So check your seed packet, see how long it's going to take, and keep it moist until those seeds come up. I lost my seed. Oh well, I'll have fun. And then you want to keep them moist until you see the first set of true leaves. Whenever a plant comes up from seed, the first leaves you see are actually the seed coats opening up to allow the shoot to come through the middle. Then you'll get the first set of leaves that look like the plant you're trying to grow, like this tomato plant. You know what a tomato leaf looks like. The first 2 leaves out of the ground don't look anything like this. So you want to be growing and keeping it good and moist until they're up. So you see those leaves that looks like what you're trying to grow. Okay? If you're doing bulbs, just a couple of little keys. You want to make sure the soil is nice and loose. All bulbs, this is gladiola, will have a point. And then on the opposite end, you should be able to see some root nubs. You always want to plant bulbs with the top up. And then the general rule of thumb on bulbs is to plant them 3 times deeper than the diameter of the bulb. This is an 1.5-inch diameter bulb, so that means the bottom of the hole needs to be 4.5 inches deep. Backfill with some good soil, and they'll make themselves known in a very short period of time. Gladiolas are a spring planted, as are dahlias. Your fall planted bulbs like tulips, you'll be putting them out in September or October and enjoying them right now in April, sometimes March. We also do, of course, plant our onions. They call them sets, but they're also a bulb. But again, a lot of people put them upside down. Please make sure you have the tip up and the little root base down. And again, the bottom of the hole should be 3 times this. This is about a 1/2 inch. So you only need to make your hole 1.5 inches deep. Okay, now we're going to plant up this container. I was going to do some pretty flowers, but it's a little early in the season. But I grow all of my tomato plants in pots. Now, tomatoes are one exception. The general rule of thumb when you're planting is you want the top of the soil surface from the pot, the top of the root ball, even with the top of the soil surface in the pot. You don't want to bury deep. But your tomatoes, they're an exception to the rule. Don't have a heart attack. But when you're going to plant, you want to take the pot off of the plant, not yank the plant out of the pot. If you have roots sticking out of the bottom, rip them off. The plant will thank you for that. Then squeeze the pot. You notice I'm supporting the top of the plant with my fingers. I pull it out. Now see all these roots? They're going to help, or they're going to try to wind around the pot and choke it. So you want to kind of break up the root ball a little. I like to skish it. The other thing you need to do is take off the bottom couple of sets of leaves. Don't panic. Yes, we need to do this. Sorry. Because tomatoes have a very weak joint where the top meets the roots. And if you planted this even, it's going to collapse at that point. So I took off the bottom and I'm going to bury this and bury the stem down deep in the pot. And bring the soil up and bury that stem. This is the only plant that you're going to bury the stem of. Everything else you plant, we want to keep good and even. What I'm planting around my tomato is the herbs. I have an Italian background. I'm going to make a spaghetti sauce pot. So I'm adding some oregano, some thyme, and some basil. Now, this one is cool. It's a purple leaf, tastes just like the basil you're used to, but it adds some color to your pot. So again, you want to protect the crown of the plant. The crown is where the top meets the roots. Support it in your hand. Make a nice hole in the soil. This one I didn't have to squish. You can see the roots haven't come in all the way. And get it in there nice and even. And then I will be adding my others and adding an onion bulb so that I can have onion in my spaghetti sauce. When you're planting up your plants into pots, just a couple other little tidbits. One trick I use is in the bottom of the pot. If you want to have drainage holes, put a piece of paper towel over the drainage hole. That'll stop the dirt from falling out of the pot, but it'll rot and it'll allow excess water to flow out. Don't be putting a lot of rocks in the bottom. That actually raises the water table and you can end up rotting the roots of your plants. You can put pieces of broken clay pots over the drainage holes, again, so that the water and soil don't just run right out. But don't be loading up the bottom of the pot with a lot of extra things. Now, if you've got great big pots, whiskey barrels, that kind of thing, if you want to put 4 or 5 inch layer of anything light to fill some space, depending on what you're planting in it, but especially if it's just annual flowers, you can put things like packing peanuts, water bottles, or even pine cones in the bottom of the pot to fill some space. But rocks are never a great idea. One other thing when I'm planting, Do we put fertilizer in here or not? You can, you don't have to. When you're buying your potting soil, make sure you get a good, light, loose. I don't know if you noticed when I was playing with this, but it's a light, airy. It'll have some forest humus in it. It'll have maybe peat moss in it. Very often, you're going to have these white particles. That's perlite, and that's just a way to hold moisture. You might also have some moisture holding granules in there. They'll swell up, hold the moisture. Great if you're doing annual flowers that need a lot of water. That's fine to use. I always like, whenever I disturb the roots of plants to get them in a pot, I like to water in with a vitamin B1 product. A lot of brands on the market, but it helps prevent transplant shock. And anytime you're messing with the roots of a plant, they're going to go into shock. Give them a little boost. They'll be happier. If you have any questions about planting things in containers or doing other small planting, please feel free to give me a call or send me an email. I'm always happy to answer your gardening questions. Thank you.